Hey everybody, welcome to SwJ. Today we're picking up a little bit further along than we left off last time. I had technical issues, and by technical issues I mean I forgot to put the SD card in my camera. So, what we did in that episode that will never be seen, and I'll try to recreate this time, is we finished off this Amsterdam patch in the last chunk there. So there it is, Amsterdam. Amsterdam was a good time. 2012 was just everything about Amsterdam is cool. The signage is smaller. You know, like you go around and you see a sign for McDonald's and it's this big instead of 200 square feet. It's a nice change. That's not the only thing, but one of many things. So today we're going to carry on, and we're going to do some belt loops. I always like having more belt loops in the back. Just it keeps the jeans from pulling down in the back, and just gives you a little more support. Keeps the crack in. Keeps the cracking. So I will dig into my bag of belt loops. Yes, I have a bag of belt loops, and we'll see what we can find. I've been a fan of doing the camouflage ones for belt loops the last while, so I think I'm going to carry on with that. Yeah, we've got a couple good ones here. Phase 1 is salvage the belt loop. Pardon. Oh, the frog in my throat. I should get stitch rippers for this. Stitch rippers. So, every time I say so, I giggle a little bit. I gotta stop doing that. The last time we were talking about a very selfless teen who used his Make-A-Wish wish to feed the homeless in his area, which I thought was really awesome. And then moving overseas, another 13-year-old. I'm a little out of breath from running up and down the stairs. Wow, that's pretty bad. Another 13-year-old, this time in the UK, made an interesting discovery. She was out with her dad, metal detecting, treasure hunting, basically, and they found treasure. This time in the form of mostly axe heads, old bronze axe heads. So they're thinking probably from about 3,000 years ago. And these are sewn in there really good. Wow. So they're detecting along, bing, 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 thing goes off. Calls her dad over. They start digging up and they find 20 objects, like right away. And at that point they decided they'd better call someone. So in come the archaeologists, and the archaeologists dig up another 45 items. So they found a total of 65 pieces over 3,000 years old in the UK. Huge discovery. And they say most people you know, they'll search, you know, they'll detect their entire lives and not find something like this. It's a very rare thing, and she's done it at 13. So, huzzah. It's always neat when you can find bits of the past. And I recently got bifocals. And I'm starting to think I might need to wear my reading glasses with my bifocals. Just for little detail stuff like this where you need to see where each tiny stitch is. It's probably another reason that I like the stitches I use. They're very large, very obvious. You can see them. That's one thing that you always have to take into mind when you're doing a project, something like this, because you're going to have the time required to salvage your fabric and your belt loops, etc. I don't know, I could probably just make one, but I really like just transplanting things. Bits from other things, and I know it would be still, but I hope you know what you're saying, like actual reusing the objects as their original purpose. Yeah, I think you know what I'm saying. Know what I'm saying? That always takes me back to the Trailer Park Boys. Jono, I think I've probably talked about this one before, because it's a very prominent flashback. That episode where in the Trailer Park Boys where Jono, I always call him Jono, J-Rock is just twitching out with his gnome sayings. Just gnome saying. And his one buddy there calls, I think it was his name, I can't remember his name, calls him out on it. That's too many gnome sayings. Trailer Park Boys. If you don't watch Trailer Park Boys, you just check it out. It's funny. It's I've never lived in a trailer park, but I have hung out in many, and that show is kind of surprisingly accurate. Like, don't get me wrong, it's extreme, and you know that's what parody is. But it has a lot of the trailer park dynamics and stuff. So if you've ever lived in a trailer park, you have to check that show out. And if you haven't, watch it anyways, just because it's funny as hell. It's such a good comedy. So, I'm going to go back to positive world news here for a little bit. I've spent a lot of time talking about energy solutions, clean power, and that sort of thing, and this is another along that thread, and this is happening already. It's a thing, and it's just they're planning to expand it to other places. And what it is, so I'm trying to get this seam out of here. What it is that they are taking old landfills, land that was otherwise basically useless, and they're putting solar panels, sorry, on putting solar panels on these old landfill sites. So they're actually making positive use out of otherwise destroyed land. And the numbers are actually pretty impressive. There's the one that I made note of was a 240 acre chunk of land, and the solar panels on there were able to generate 70 megawatts, and 70 megawatts is a lot. To put it into perspective, it's enough to power about 12,000 homes. Would basically replace 7 hydroelectric turbines. A lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, I'd say about average on the hydroelectric turbines would be about a 10 megawatt output. So yeah, 70 megawatts, 7 units, 12,000 homes. It's pretty massive. Having troubles with this stitch ripping here. Might have to get my other glasses. Maybe I'm just not focusing on it because I'm chatting. Darn, frog in my throat today. Coffee. Cheers. Coffee's almost empty because I'm a full episode in already. But speaking of hydroelectric generation, another good news power generation story. Is oh, just have to check my notes here for a second. There's a new type of power generation using the tides, and I've talked about using the tides before. I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea. The biggest setback was the infrastructure, having to have the underwater turbines set down and taking up ocean floor space, etc. There's a company called Minesto, and they're an offshoot of Saab, the car manufacturer. They've invented what they call Sea Dragons. SEA, not SEE or C, as in the letter C, but SEA, Sea Dragons. And what they are is they basically look like the unmanned aerial vehicles or a glider, something like that. And it has a prop at the back. Yeah, at the back. And that prop is a generator. So rather than having an electric powered plane, it's basically an electric generating underwater plane. And it basically just sits in the current in the tides, and just sits there and moves in the tides and generates power off of the turbine at the back, and that's tethered to shore to a power station. So I think there's the solution, because the biggest setback before, there we go, the biggest setback before was the environmental impact, which compared to a lot of other things, the environmental impact on something like tidal generation is, I think, lesser. It's a very expensive form of generation because you have to have all that infrastructure underwater and have to do all your work underwater. Now the Sea Dragons solve those problems too, because all you do is reel them in and work on them. You need to replace one, you plunk a new one in. Modular design makes everything like that easier, because then you can bring it back, put a new one in, service that one, and you've got a spare. Yeah, works really well. So I'm going to need 2 belt loops. I'm going to see if I can do this second one a little bit faster. It seemed to work after I had weakened it up a little bit to just tear it out. So I'm going to try to take out a few stitches. I always feel like I'm going to break these seam rippers. These things are stitched on here tight. Like that's a very fine stitch on there. Which makes sense because it's a belt loop. I'm going to try to do this so I don't end up sticking this into my finger. Surely you are seeing that too. Safety first, safety fourth, safety fourth. I think I've gone on that rant before. How a lot of the most successful companies don't necessarily do safety first, and why I believe that the safety standards are ridiculous these days. Like if you are to do any work, the requirements, like the paperwork involved in doing any of that work, and the safety aspect of it is just ridiculous, because a lot of it is just, you know, if you are trained properly and you're doing your job properly, these things won't happen. It's just everything has to be dumbed down to the lowest common denominator, and that low denominator can be pretty low sometimes. So it's yeah, it's frustrating. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, distracted by trying to get these things cut out of here. If I'm running out of patience doing this, you must be running out of patience watching me. So let's try to get these out of here a little quicker. Not that I'm running out of patience, I shouldn't say. It just seems that some things take inordinately longer than they should. And this was turning into one of those cases, because I think I was just distracted by my own thoughts more than anything, and I wasn't really doing anything with the seam ripper. So I'll be quiet for just a minute, and here we go. Where were we? Oh yeah, Sea Dragons. think that's the future. Yeah. I'm not sure what else to say about that. I think that's the way it's going to go. I think it's a great technology. So doing these is a bit of a challenge as you're going through many layers of material and then through the hem. So this is a good time to break out some thimblalism. And I still have a little bit of yellow thread left on there from that Amsterdam patch, so I'm going to use up that last bit of thread and start right along the top and just try to match up the stitches. Give it a wiggle, get it set, and then give it a little more pressure from that thimble. Oh man, you know what? I think I'm going to try a different needle. This is rare. I almost never use anything. I almost exclusively use that needle. Let's put it that way. But whoa, if you remember a little while ago, I found these from June of '87 from Kmart, and I am actually going to use them. There's a leather needle in there that looks pretty nice. So it says for coats, gloves, and leather. And I am just going to crack the pack and pull it out so that maybe I can put it back. It's pretty damaged and stuff. I don't think it would be worth anything online, so we'll use it. And I'm going to try this thing. It's apparently a needle threader. So I'm going to switch over to white thread. See if I can get in here without completely destroying the packaging. So I like to know the style number and made in Japan, printed in USA. Little things. I was like, where did I put my needle? Oh yeah, in my mouth where it's not supposed to be. Alright, so does that go on there? I think that's how it works. Put the needle on the middle thing. And you take your thread. I don't need a piece that long, I don't think, for doing belt loops. That'll be annoying. So we trim. And we wrap that around there, I think. And then you pull it. Whoa! Fail. That did not go as planned. Nope, nope. Okay, so hook your needle in. Pop it into there. And I'm assuming wrap your thread around here. You know, I'm going to look at this packaging again. I'm trying to show you and read it at the same time. That just does not work. Ah, pictograms, how wonderful you are. And I think I'm missing the first few, so yeah. I'm just gonna see if I can sort it out. So if I wrap it around. Pull. It just comes off. Okay. I'm going to stop trying to figure this out right now. And I'm just going to thread the needle. Because yeah, it's just not coming to me. And I've been shown a trick where you just put the needle and thread in the palm of your hand and like roll it around and it threads itself basically. And I've tried, I think it was Juanita that showed me that, so Juanita, thank you for showing me that. I'm gonna have to get you to show me that again. If you're watching. Or I'll just look up a YouTube video on it. And then I'll pass that knowledge on to you. On to y'all. Okay, let's try this again. With the finer thread, new thread, should be sharper thread, needle. Wow, got thread on the brain. Okay, so, pokey poke. This is one of those situations where I'm hoping I can get that hand sewing machine working. We picked up a sewing machine at auction. It's from about the 30s, 20s or 30s. And that is not going through there at all. Wow. That usually goes easier. But yeah, it's four layers of material I'm trying to go through. It's a little bit redonk. So what I have done in the past is just cheated a bit and tried to go through the top, just kind of catch the tops, which I know won't last as long. But sometimes you do what you have to do. Get her done. Didn't even grab. If you know a better way to do this, please tell me. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's why. This needle. Oh yeah, it's a leather needle, so it's kind of flat. That's not really sharp at all. Okay, so we won't use that needle. Wow, trial and error today. We might not get very far. One here, it says it's for chairs. It's really long. Let's try it. Why not? And it's funny, the perforations are way off from where the bubbles are, so you have to like push the needle out the side if you want it to actually hit the perforation. That looks a bit better. That is a long needle. It says for chairs and sofas. Well, we're going to use it on my jeans. We're going to try to use it on my jeans anyway. Doesn't seem like we're succeeding very much today. And that's okay. Sometimes it's your day to succeed, and someday it is someone else's day to succeed. I really think those sea dragons are going to succeed. Just it checks off all the boxes, right? Like if you think about it, efficient, reliable, least damaging to the environment that I've seen. Modular. It's just smart design. Now, is this going to be too big of a thread? Might not be able to get enough downward force without bending the needle. Don't want to bend the needle. Oh, I see the tip coming through the other side. This is going to be a long road if this is what we're doing. Because now I have all that needle to push through there. Oh boy, I'm actually denting. That's not good. Actually denting the thimble a little bit. Okay, I think that's not going to be the solution either. On the power generation story, I don't think I mentioned that was it's a Danish, a group of Danish governed islands called the Faroe Islands, or the Faroe Islands. I don't know if I mentioned that this time or not. I'm getting the last episode that I did confused with this one. You know, I think I'm just going to open this up and go through the back here and call that the solution. That's what's happening. Because if you're an experienced sewer out there and you're sitting there laughing at me because there's an easier way, please let me know. I would love to learn. I would love to pass that on to everyone. Yeah, that's part of the channel. Definitely, I like doing the positive world news. It's really encouraging for me. It's a good way to start my day by talking about things outside of the world that I'm completely ensconced in. Ensconced, is that the right word to use there? I've lost my confidence in my vocabulary. I keep missing words. I keep using the wrong ones. And I know a lot of words, and I think I have a good vocab, but if you don't have the confidence to use those words, eventually you lose them. That's one thing I like about my wife, because she has a much better vocabulary than I do. So if I throw a word out there and I pause and I'm like, is that right? She can actually tell me whether I was using it correctly or not. And she grew up speaking French more so. So if she ever has a question of is that right in English, then I can usually help her with that. So it works out. And yeah, for doing these, I just go back and forth through there. I'm usually jamming it through all 4 layers, but for some reason I just couldn't get it through. Maybe this material is just more dense than I'm used to. I don't know. I just remember to keep everything nice and tight, and this is going to be keeping belt loops on, so lots of passes through. Once you think you've done enough, do a few more. Oh, my mind goes some weird places. If you're a fan of The Big Lebowski, it's popped into my head. When The Big Lebowski is crying and he's like saying, "Strong men also cry." I think when I'm doing this, like, strong men also, so I'm gonna write that down actually. Do I have a pen? I don't have a pen. I'll have to write that down. Something, if you have a thought that's, for an invention or for something funny or, just whatever that you think you might forget, just make a note of it. Okay, I think I might almost be done with this one. And as you can see, I don't really follow a set pattern. I just kind of throw a bunch of stitches in. And hope it sticks. And my seam doesn't quite line up on top, it's not the same as the other ones. And that's okay, because it's not that important. So I'll just tie this off, and I guess I'll have to remember to leave myself extra room for tying off the knots with the longer needle. I actually kind of like the long needle. It feels good. It feels good in the hand. I'm not pinching so hard to try to hold on to it. Like that. And tie off thread. Snippy snip. I think I'm just going to get this stitch started and then call it a day. With the double episode, I've been sewing for a while today. And not that I mind, it's just there are other things to do. Unfortunately, life is more than just sewing. Well, I think I'll end on that note, because I'm not quite sure what happened there, which means I think I'm tired of sewing for right now. I think I'm just generally tired. Don't mean to complain, sorry. All is well. Just a little sleepy, little dozy. Everybody gets there. So I'm going to do that. Leave it for next time. Yeah, so this time we took off 2 felt loops and we put on the top of 1. Little experimentation, a few fails, and success. So until next time, when we do this on the other side, yeah, thanks for joining me. I think I'm going to try to sew this one as low as possible because it looks like it's a smaller belt loop. Hope I can still fit my belts through there. I should probably check that. But you know what? I'll probably forget. And that's okay. That's okay. Things don't always work out. And that's okay. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I really do value our time together. And, yeah. Hopefully you'll join me again for the next one. Till next time, keep chilling. I already had my cookie, so don't forget yours. And yeah, peace.